Hi, everyone. We are just starting to let everyone in to get ready for our presentation. We'll give everyone another second to join us, and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right. Hello. Welcome. On behalf of Dimensions in Travel, we are delighted that you are joining us today for our journey to the American Western USA with Abercrombie Kent. This is a part of our Places You Can Go Now series. My name is Diana St. James, and I'm one of the owners of Dimensions in Travel, along with Jill Romano. Safe travel is coming back. We see it every day with the inquiries and bookings that we're starting to receive. These virtual events have been a great way for us to keep the spirit of travel alive in everyone, but we'd like you to consider using them as a place to spark some ideas for some new travel. And we are all standing by to help make those travel dreams a reality. But before we get started on this virtual Western USA event, some reminders. We are recording this event, and we will send you out a link afterwards. We always record them, and we will post them on our website as well as our YouTube channel. All of you are in listen-only mode, so your microphones and your cameras are off. This helps increase the bandwidth that we have available for our event and to minimize any distractions going on. You can also post any questions in the chat button at the bottom of your screen. We'll be facilitating a Q&A at the end, but you can type your questions in at any time. So back to our event at hand. We are going to the Northern Rockies today, Wyoming and Montana, the desert and the American Southwest and Alaska. And you can learn how you can arrange insider access, luxury boutique accommodations, private planes, expert guides, or yachts in each area. Normally not things you associate with a national park experience. I used to work at Yellowstone National Park myself at Canyon Village when I was in college, and 45 years later, I still treasure my time that I spent in the national parks. It was a beautiful and fascinating place, and national park memories do last forever, and they're a great gift to give your family. But before we get started on our virtual journey, I'd like to introduce my business partner and agency co-owner, Jill Romano. Hi, Jill.
Hi, Diana. Thanks everyone for joining us today. I'm so pleased to introduce you all to Cynthia Reed, our sales director with Abercrombie and Kent. We've been working with Cynthia for 30 plus years, and her knowledge of Abercrombie and Kent trips around the world, combined with her personal travel experiences, continue to be a vital partnership for us. Through in-person and now mostly virtual training, most often including the managing directors from the A&K offices worldwide, Cynthia has supported and helped our team to expertly create the most amazing trips for you around the world. Cynthia, today we're all looking forward to our journey with you to explore Wyoming, Montana, Utah, Arizona, and Alaska. Love to turn it over to you for our journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Diana. It's always such a pleasure alongside you and talk to your wonderful clients, our guests that get to go all over the world. And so we're here to support travel in the close-in short time frame of 2021, or in some cases to plan ahead for 2022 with this showcase here. This is close to my heart, as I was in Yellowstone 2 weeks ago now. So I back up what Diana said, national park memories do stay a lifetime. It's been many, many years since I have been to Yellowstone, and this is my own photo. And you just don't get over a buffalo parade stopping traffic. It's really a special thing to experience, and Yellowstone's the best place on the planet for that. So who are we at Abercrombie and Kent? We started out as an African safari operator, and we pioneered Hemingway tented style camps, mobile tented camps, with Jeffrey Kent on the right, our co-chairman and founder when he was a young boy out on safari. He was actually born on safari, so his mother's a very tough woman, and he was raised in Kenya. And he learned that with just a little bit more resource from the client, you could bring so much more comfort out into the bush. One of his favorite phrases is any fool can be uncomfortable in the bush. So by being at the luxury end of the price spectrum, we bring in things like proper bed frames and mattresses and beautiful big spacious tents and porcelain bowls for sinks and a good shower and ice, so we can have ice in our drinks and we can have fish flown in from the coast and really lovely chefs that can bake bread out on safari in the bush. It's remarkable what they can come up with. Crafted salads and soups and all manner of souffles and quiches. It's amazing. So that was our early origin of our company, and we're closing in on 60 years. The last 30 years, we've also pioneered small ship cruising in polar regions, starting with Antarctica and now branching out to the Arctic and cultural voyages around the world. So why consider us for travel with Dimensions in Travel? If you haven't yet traveled with us, know that we are a really a VIP provider and completely safe and secure company, always looking out for your health and safety when you travel. And we're in over 100 countries, and we have the global footprint with close to 3,000 colleagues around the world to make sure that we're working in conjunction with tourist boards and government bureaus at this time to reopen and travel safely. So we've won all the awards out there, and we are just so grateful for our long-term partnership with Dimensions in Travel, with Jill and Diana and the advisors that have invited you tonight. We work hand in hand with them. So this is our open country list. This is a fun list. I just added one before the meeting tonight. Let's guess at the end. Let's see who can come up with that. If you can remember to help me, Jill and Diana, what's the newest country on this list? So these are the countries in which we are currently operating. To help offer confidence to all of us that are thinking about our first trip, whether it's closer to home like tonight's show or in somewhere else internationally that requires a passport, we have a Book with Confidence nice offer. And it says that if you book anything by the end of this month for travel this year or next year, you can cancel without penalty up to 15 days before departure for a COVID-related reason. So that's COVID issues at home or abroad. So we take that off the table. You won't be penalized should you need to cancel. So we just want you, all of us, to make a plan and put a small amount of deposit down for this year or next year to get that booking, something you can dream about, get it on the books. What we're finding now is that things are being moved over into 2022. So if you wait till later this summer or this fall to plan that perfect trip for next year, you may not get the dates you want or the properties you're dreaming about. So get a jump on it. April, you've got all this month to think about it. So let's talk about traveling closer to home. So as Diana and Jill talked about, we're going to discuss the Northern Keys, the desert Southwest, and Alaska. And at the end, we can answer any questions in other parts of the USA or elsewhere. So here's the map. It is national park tide related, and because we've got a lot of expertise, deep expertise in that part of travel. So what we're finding a big trend for is private travel with family and friends. So whether it's a private van for 4 or 5 people, private vehicle, beautiful, vehicle driven by our guides, or you can even work with your own car if you want to do a road trip and we help you with the guides and the hotels along the way, or private yachts or private planes. Why think of us for help with beautiful travel in the Western states? Because we've got incredible guides. And I'm going to tell you a story in a minute about one example. Geologist on the left for the Grand Canyon, a noted wildlife researcher and photographer in the upper right in Teton Village, or Tetons, and a John Muir impersonator in our own backyard Yosemite. So let's take our tour of the West. I'm very happy to see Bryce Canyon included here. Right after college, I moved lock, stock, and barrel to Bryce Canyon, worked the summer, and got many beautiful sunrises and sunsets. It's one of our overlooked jewels. I truly encourage everyone to see Bryce Canyon at one point in their life. But we're going to start further north in the Northern Rockies, the beautiful Tetons, one of my favorite mountain ranges, and actually where I am right now. I'm on a road trip working virtually because I love to ski and I love mountains. And so I took this opportunity to work during the week and ski and explore during the weekend. So I'll show you a picture from my hotel room a little bit later. I like the Tetons any time of year, and there's a variety of things to do. Floating down the Snake River, looking at this National Museum of Wildlife Art, which is just down the road from me now. It's right across from the elk refuge. If you come in the winter, there's hundreds and hundreds of elk, some buffalo. I'm looking at them now. There's at least 200 out there right now. It's getting more spring-like, so some have left. This is some of the outdoor art, and the indoor art's beautiful as well. Right behind that is Snow King local ski hill. And then there's Jackson Hole for winter enthusiasts or summer enthusiasts that want to hike using the ski lifts or the gondola. So we've got a really nice suggested itinerary, which is Jackson Hole based. And then we get into Yellowstone National Park and the Grand Tetons. The two are about 45 minutes to an hour apart. So it's really nice to base here. For a longer itinerary, we can base you in north of Yellowstone in southern Montana as well. And we've got a special itinerary for bringing the children or grandchildren along. What we're finding is a trend that so many of us have been separated from families. Our first big trip together is to include as many of our family members as we can. So multi-generational, three different ages, lots of different activity choices. That's easy for us to plan with your favorite Dimensions and Travel advisor. So this is my experience 2 weeks ago. I went in the winter. I like traveling off season, and I do love to ski. So I had a day with one of our wildlife guides. This is Emil McCann. He runs a beautiful company that we work with to guide in the park. And so I had this day, which I will never forget as long as I live. So I've not been in anyone else's car in a year. So I wondered, how would it be spending a day with him? Well, he has the plexiglass up between the driver and the passengers. I was the only passenger that day, so we masked up, as everybody would, and we confined our eating and drinking to outside, and then we kept our distance once we're outside. One thing I love about this operation that we use is he's got a spotting scope for everyone. So he can set everybody up, and he said, "What do you want to see today?" And I said, "Well, I've seen every other big mammal species in the park. I really, really, really would love to see a wolf. I've never seen a wild wolf." So first off, you get, as I mentioned, the parade of buffalo. It's really exquisite, never gets old. We saw lots of elk on the way in. He found us some bighorn sheep, which I never tire of looking at. They're so pretty. He found several coyotes for us. And so these are spotting scope pictures, many of them, some are my own. He's really great at getting pictures and video through his spotting scope, which is really hard to do for the rest of us. And then here we finally saw the wolf, and we had one wolf. We tracked her for an hour at least. You can see if you look closely, she's got a collar. And because he's been a professional wildlife biologist in the park, and he worked with some of the wolf researchers, he knows them all. He's on his phone texting, or he's calling, or he's using his radio. So he got her number. He knows she's wolf 1094. He knew her pack. And she was howling every so often. So he figured out she's howling to another female across the ravine, and which pack she is. She's a different pack. So you get to know the whole story because they know all of their wolves, and they've been reintroduced for the last 26 years. So this is why I will never forget this day. He gave me an hour with a wild wolf, and it was really, really exquisite. After that, we saw mountain goats. I went back the next day to try to find the mountain goats in the same place with my very good binoculars. Couldn't find them. They're white, and there's a lot of snow around, so it's really hard to find mountain goats in winter. He found a fox. So a fun fact about wildlife biology in Yellowstone National Park is they really clap each other on the back, and they say congratulations to clients when you have a 3-dog day. Wolves, coyotes, and foxes. I'll take it. It was awesome. So only the Northern Road is open in the winter. So then you get to see these beautiful Mammoth Springs. And the one I showed earlier is the Grand Prismatic Spring, that one that's really colorful. That's our largest in the US and the third largest in world. Why Yellowstone? It's 2.2 million acres of a perfectly intact ecosystem. One of the few places on the planet where all species that were here originally are now restored and in balance. So it is the world's first national park, which is something. We gave that model to the world. But more importantly for the animals is the balance has been restored. So everything is as it was from the beginning of time, which is a really special thing to be a part of and experience. So here's Tetons in the winter with another wolf up close. I didn't see a wolf quite that close, but I'll take the one I had. I highly recommend the Nordic skiing. I've done that here in the Tetons prior. The downhill skiing is world class here at Jackson Hole. But again, any time of year, I really recommend these two national parks. I mentioned the floating down the Snake River. That's a lovely thing to do in the evening here in the Jackson area. You can have fly fishing experiences, dude ranches for cookout dinners, horseback riding. You can have your boots custom made, hats custom made. There's the elk antler arches in the park downtown, really special. So it's just a really wonderful part of the world. And on some of our itineraries, we use this property. This is the Sage Lodge in southern Montana, the place I mentioned earlier. I had a couple of nights here, and you can see that beautiful 10,000-foot peak called Immigrant Mountain right out the front, spectacular entrance lobby. Again, elk all over the place. I took my own spotting scope picture through my iPhone, which I'm quite proud of a sandhill crane. Look at the food. These are just my little casual photos, but here you are in, pretty rural Montana with exquisite food. Oh, and I'll show you my picture later. Okay, I wondered where it was. Okay, so that's the Northern Rockies, some of the highlights, why to visit any time of year. It's exquisite. So let's go to the desert Southwest, and the Red Rock country is world class. This is Arches National Park out of Moab on the left. And here's a sample itinerary on the upper right, Salt Lake City, Vegas in, Salt Lake City out. You can do it in reverse, of course. You can also exit through Grand Junction in Colorado after you've concluded your Moab experience. So Moab has both Arches and Canyonlands National Park. Here's an idea of what happens in Canyonlands. Many people don't take the day to go out in the four-wheel drive vehicles. I think that's an oversight. It's a spectacularly large, vast area of landscape. And just to get a sense of where you can go, it's pretty much a roadless area, and you need a guide, and it's a really outstanding part of our country. Ways that we make it special, we have private photography guides, we have private geologist guides, we have specialist guides in culture, in Indian artifacts, Native American artifacts. We can help you get these kind of pictures. It's anything that your interests are telling you to pursue, we can help make that happen. There's gentle rafting here in this area in the Westwater Canyon. And then if you want something a little more adrenaline rushing, so to speak, there's the Cataract Canyon just out of Moab. Look at what you're going to float through for a 1 day or a 2 day or 3 day trip. And you get some rock art with our Native American ancestors and some funerary caves and some nice side hikes off either of the river experiences here. And see this beautiful Red Rock country. So one itinerary is Utah, the Mighty Five. I think the tourism board did a great job naming that. And that includes a park here, which is Capitol Reef National Park. And we use this property on the lower right, Cougar Ridge it's called. Again, you can do some fly fishing, some light float rafting, and take some hikes up into these slot canyons with private guides. And we'll take you to places that the tourists don't always know about. So, when you're driving or trying to do this on your own, you see a little bit, but with our guides, you're going to see so much more. I learned that with my guide in Yellowstone. I went in the next 3 days, and I have pretty good binoculars, and I sort of think I know what I'm doing. And I saw a fraction of the wildlife we saw together. So I really am a fan of private guiding that really know their area. So here's a really nice itinerary I like as well. That's Arizona and Utah combined. So into Phoenix, Sedona for the day, and then we end up outside the Grand Canyon National Park. We'll have that one of the geologist specialist guides take us into Grand Canyon, and we go where the tourists don't go, and they bring alive all the layers and the history, the thousands of years of history in the Grand Canyon. And then stay in the Amangiri in Page, Utah, go to Monument Valley, and then see Arches and Canyonlands National Park. So Grand Canyon, if you haven't seen it or you haven't seen it in a while, you need to get back there or visit for the first time. It really is one of the jewel spots on the planet. And when you take an itinerary like this, you get to go to Lake Powell and get a glimpse of Rainbow Bridge Rainbow Bridge Arch here. This is Monument Valley. We're a big fan of working with our Navajo guides to showcase this part of the world. Not everybody stops here or goes out of the way to see Monument Valley. It's very close by to the Grand Canyon. I'm a big fan of spending a day or two here because you can hike, you can visit the weavers. They have a beautiful weaving tradition and turquoise jewelry making. They have a small museum talking about their Navajo code talkers. This is our largest Native American group. They have over 500,000 strong, and they don't partake in the casino culture. So it's a very special thing to spend time with Navajo guides and Navajo citizens on their country in their area. And the hiking is really special. So a road trip like I'm on now, I can really give a strong recommendation for taking a road trip, letting us drive you if you don't want to, or you doing the driving and using our services through your Dimensions and Travel Advisor to plan the trip for you. This is one itinerary. We have several others. I'm on a long one through Montana and Idaho, as I mentioned. Here's the picture from my hotel this week. And you can't see the elk because they're over on the far side, but there's hundreds and hundreds of them. So it's just so fun to be out there and see something new, isn't it? So I highly recommend you to make a plan and get out there. So let's talk about Alaska. This is a summer that we all know will be very, very, very special for travel to Alaska. And that's because the cruise lines won't be there with their up to 500,000 tourists that won't be in Alaska this summer. So it's really for those of us that are willing to fly in and do some float plane sightseeing or some driving or some small boat travel. So it's going to be very special this summer. And I highly recommend people consider going to Alaska or making a plan now for next year and beyond. This is Denali, our Seven Sister, our peak, highest peak on the North American continent, and one of the harder ones to achieve for those trying to climb the highest peak on every continent. It's got amazing fjords and glaciers, having experiences of watching the ice fall off the front of the glacier, big empty scenery. It's a humongous state with a very small population. So this is one of my favorite parts of Alaska. It's Katmai, and this is the Brooks River Falls with truly the waterfall bear. The day I was there was a bear, maybe it was this same one, right there in the middle of the waterfall waiting to catch the fish as they jump upstream. There were other bears along the banks of the Brooks River, and they were pawing them in, and the little ones were trying to dive after them, and some bears were swimming in and under the water trying to get the fish, and there were lots and lots of fish, but there was only one in the waterfall. So it's really something to see the Brooks River Falls and some of the other spots in Katmai. Even in the summer, you can see some of the beautiful northern lights, maybe not quite this green, but I've seen them in Fairbanks nice and white. So whatever time of year you have a good chance, do go out at night and glance upward. If you want to see the true northern lights when they're really at their best, you need to come in the winter. And we've got some trips for winter travel in Alaska as well. The fly fishing is a lot of fun, and we can get you a private guide. I've done that, and it's pretty fun. I'm not even a fisher person, and I really enjoyed bringing in a couple of fish. Wildlife viewing is really remarkable. If you come in the right season, you can go out on a dog sled. We love float planes. We work with some of the small boutique lodges that have really great meals in beautiful picturesque settings. And we can bring alive Alaska for a variety of ways, family travelers together, or active travelers, or those that want to spend time focused on wildlife and photography, or on food and wine combo, easy to do for us. Here's one of our finds that I can't wait to see on my next trip to Alaska. It's called the Sheldon Chalet. You have to take a snow plane that will land up on the glacier from Talkeetna, and then you take a helicopter to get in. It's on the flanks of Denali, and you take over the whole place. It's got 5 bedrooms, and so it's great for a family or several couples traveling together. The chef is exquisite, and you spend your time there exploring this very vast landscape all to yourself. It's called Sheldon Chalet. And then we have 2 fun options for charter yacht rentals. This is a beautiful small ship in Prince William Sound out of Whittier, Alaska. And it's for 6 people, and it 4 days or longer, just to have your own little private glacier cruise in the area. So I think this would be a really nice way, since the big ships aren't going to be there this summer, to take a small ship out and have a captain and crew show you around and get out and be active in a very pristine situation. And then for those that want a bigger water experience, we have access to this beautiful sailing vessel. It's a full international yacht specified safe vessel, the Kiori, and it's offering 7-day cruises between Juneau and Sitka. And so you would charter this for 8 to 9 people, and it's 7 days going back and forth between these 2 well-known cities. So it's a private inside passage experience. 5 crew, 8 to 9 guests, and you can see how elegant it is. So if this appeals as a way to see Alaska, the Dimension and Travel advisor that you work with would be so happy to work with us on this. And then finally, I wanted to talk a little bit about our private air. We're finding some guests want to prioritize privacy over price this year, and they're willing to charter these planes. We can help set these up for you for your private group. So here we've put together 4 of our amazing national parks. You can see them here: Arches, Yosemite, Yellowstone, and the Grand Canyon. We can put in other parks and do it a different way for you. We've got a wonderful West Coast private jet itinerary, and again, we can be very creative. And then we've got an Alaska flying safari. So using float planes and glacier planes to get you around. So with that, I just want to say thank you so much for your attention. We're so happy to work alongside Dimensions and Travel. Thank you, Jill, Diane, and all the advisors that work with us and are on the call today. And as a thank you to all of our guests, we want to say, make a booking within the month, anywhere in our world, and save $250 per person. And we thank you for listening today, and for all those that listen to the recording afterwards. This is also applicable to you. So whether your dreams will take you to Alaska this summer or next year or beyond, or the beautiful colors of our desert Southwest, or wonderful Northern Rockies, Wyoming and Montana, we're here to help you, and we look forward to taking care of you and welcoming you to this part of the world. Life is short. Let's get out there and travel. And we thank all of you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Cynthia. That was phenomenal. I think the images that you chose are an absolute reflection of the kind of experience that you're able to offer our clients. It's just stunning. And I made a little list of all the things that I learned too. I never knew what a spotting scope was, so thank you for that. I've got Monument Valley on my list. I did not know, was it the Navajo people who don't do casinos? Is that I
Isn't
had
that
no
lovely?
idea that. Yes.
That's a lot of integrity. It's personal opinion. They're pretty proud of not being involved in the
Of course, and what a commitment to their culture. And then the figure of 500,000 less people in Alaska this year, that's pretty irresistible. So thank you. Jill, do we have any questions?
Thank you, Diana. And again, Cynthia, thank you so much. I've got a little picture here behind me of our trip to Wyoming a couple of years ago, and I echo both Diana and Cynthia's comments. I think we're so lucky. We have this great big wide world to travel to, and we all want to go to these exotic places, and we forget about our national parks, and we forget about what's close to home. And yes, this year and last year a little bit different, and think people are thinking a little bit more about these kinds of trips. We're certainly seeing the response from our clients that are trying to get their Alaska summers booked, and things are booking up quickly. But it's trips that create memories of a lifetime, truly. And I think we need to remember what's literally on our back door. So I took a look. We don't have any questions at this time. If anybody wants to pop a question into the chat box, please feel free to. I think that's a testament to Cynthia's coverage of these destinations so thoroughly and expertly. And thank you too for sharing your recent experience. It's always fun to see travel sort of the off season. And I don't think most people think about Yellowstone in the winter. So wonderful to see the collection of animals that you got to see. And those private guides, boy, they just completely transform a trip, don't they? They're so enthusiastic and share so many great details with us. And we just are like sponges soaking up all that information. So thank you again so much.
Well, I think if we don't have any questions, that we can go ahead and just wrap things up. And if you do have them, please reach out to Jill and I, and we'll be sure that your travel consultant gets your question and gets back to you on it. And we want to encourage all of you, go out and have a little travel adventure. I did a road trip last weekend. Cynthia's on one now. I think you'll remember after all this time how good it feels to be traveling again.
That's right.
It brought it all back to me. Even just a little trip to Santa Barbara, all of a sudden I'm like, I remember now how good this feels. So we are standing by. If you get that feeling, we'd love to help you take it a little further. All right, thank you everybody, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye now.
Thanks, Cynthia. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye.